Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. I hope everyone is doing all right. And let's see, we are moving on into December. And Ivan, I'm not monitoring Matrix tonight. I feel like that holiday lull is on me, and so I'm just not being super productive. And on top of that, I've been fighting with a client's Liquid Web account for the last couple days. If you are ever thinking about getting hosting services somewhere, do not use a Liquid Web. Those people have gone mad. They created this whole proprietary backend panel out of some either REST JSP or Node.js, and it doesn't work. They've given me a control panel in 2025 that I can't change the PHP version. I can't access my FTP clients. I mean, it is completely useless. Nonsense. Other things, if you took a break for a couple days, of course, CJ died, unfortunately, since our last stream. So, very sad, but we did put the tribute video up to him on the channel. So if you did not catch that, that cute cat, he had a good life. And so that would be good. Somebody's saying bump the mic up. I'm actually perilously close to red line, but let me go up a little bit more. I don't want to bump it up too much, because if then I start yelling and screaming like a raving lunatic like I usually do, then it like peaks out and bad audio and stuff. But anyway, we'll see. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Yeah, I bumped it a little bit, and now my regular voice gets right to that red line, and so hopefully that is better. So yeah, I guess the only other thing I want to mention is I'm moving into an area where I usually stay for about a month. And the church that I work with down here, and sometimes I preach and sometimes I teach for their Bible study. And that Bible study is on Thursday nights. So I'm not sure if I'm going to maybe move the show back to Friday for a month or do something. I will figure that out after I talk to them this weekend and see what we do. But there is a possibility for the month of December that the show might move back to Friday. But I don't know. I might just say, I won't worry about the Thursday services and stuff. But just be aware there is that small possibility of that as we move on into the end of the year. And we'll see. We'll see what else is going on there. Of course, if you want to help support the channel, you can have a look over at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. We have all the various monthly support links there. We have Locals, Patreon, Subscribestar. We also have there a list of affiliates that we use, like Mint Mobile's good, tlm.li/mm. That will give you a good cell phone. I pay $180 for my cell phone using Mint Mobile. That's per year. That's per year. Whole year, that's all I pay. I pay once at the beginning of the year, and I don't have a cell phone bill, and it cost me $180. And don't give me any of that kind of stuff like, it doesn't work where I'm at. I've traveled the whole country for 5 years. I've probably been to where you are, and my phone generally works. Even out here in the middle of the desert, my phone's working just fine. So there is always that. Of course, you can also super chat. We have super chats enabled on YouTube and on Rumble. Commodore Fan gives a $5 super chat. Howdy, y'all. Did my YouTube 2025 recap, and my channel is number 5 on his recap. Very cool, man. Awesome. Thanks. So he also says later on down there, you can go to YouTube. I think it's at youtube.com/recap25. I don't know. He has a post about it somewhere, and you can actually see, I guess there's some customized thing for you, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. Never seen any of that, but you can actually help support the channel using those as well, and we always appreciate the support. And we do have 2 main topics today. We're going to start with a dystopian phone rule. Is this coming to a country near you? That's exciting. And then we will end up talking a little bit about some passkeys. And as I've said before, they say, oh, passkeys are the best way to secure everything. Yeah, DEF CON 2025 demonstrated that some passkeys, there's some ways to bypass those passkeys too. And then I dug in and found some other articles as well. So We'll go ahead and chat about those this week. Of course, we'll do our two main stories, and then we will jump on into our first comment break. We'll cover as many of the comments as we can in about roughly 10 minutes or so, and then we will come back to our QuickLines, and we have a massive SillyVille this week. And no, we're not even talking about the drunk raccoon over in Virginia either. I mean, we had so many articles. I had to throw fun stuff like a drunk squirrel out, a drunk raccoon off. So be aware of that. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump on in. And we want to talk about this. Hold on a second. Let's not forget to push the record button this time. So our first article here on Weekly News Roundup, we're going to be talking about, is this dystopian phone rule coming to a phone near you? Oh boy, this is going to be quite fun here. Of course, you can catch the whole stream in the link down below, but this little section here, we want to go on over to India. And before I talk about this, I do want to mention there were a couple of different dystopian Indian things come out. So TechLore, of course, did a video this morning, I think, and which basically said, yeah, after social pressure, India backtracked on something. That's not the dystopian rule we're talking about. The one they backtracked on so far was a rule that required all phones in India to have an app installed on the phone. So iPhones, Android phones, any phone sold within India, any phone used within India had to have the app automatically pushed and automatically installed on the phone, and that app required basically permissions for the government to see absolutely everything. So that caused quite a bit of nonsense, but after enough social pressure in the whole world looking at them going, have you gone mad? They did backtrack on that. We're not talking about that rule. I just want to be clear because I'm going to see some moron in the comments that says, no, India backtracked on this rule, and they didn't even watch the video. We see it all the time. It's kind of fun. What we are going to be talking about, though, is this fun one here. India is now mandating that all new SIM cards are linked to an individual, two different things here. Wow. First, all messaging apps are linked to a SIM card. Okay. So Telegram, Signal, any form of maybe RCS messaging, maybe your iMessages, every single messaging application, WhatsApp, every one of them is tied to a SIM card. And so India's Department of Telecommunications now requires providers of messenger apps to work only with active SIM cards linked to a user's number to prevent fraud and misuse. So you can no longer use any of those messaging apps without an active SIM card being done. So the apps must stop working if the active SIM card is removed, and the desktop applications have to have a fairly short logout period, like in the matter of hours. So every couple hours, you'd have to log back into your desktop. Of course, this happens because India is known for its massive amount of scams, particularly dealing with messaging apps and things like that. And so the government hopes that this will stop all of the fraud coming out of India, which is quite dystopian. So the Indian government now requires messaging apps such as WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Snapchat, and others that rely on Indian mobile numbers to use their identifiers to comply with new SIM binding rules within 90 days. Long-lived web/desktop sessions let fraudsters control victims' accounts from distant locations without needing the original device or SIM. So what they're getting at here is if they manage to fish their way into your account, they steal a session token like we're talking about in the password and passkey section on a later article section on this news program. If they're able to get into those sessions, they can keep using it the way it currently is. So under India's new rules, they're going to stop the messaging apps on phones will stop working once a SIM is taken out of the phone, and anything on desktops will automatically log out after a fairly short period of time, meaning that India, people and scammers in India can no longer fish you for your accounts and then get in and keep those accounts going and continue to scam people with your stolen credentials, because that's really what they're doing. They're kind of stealing your credentials. And so that is a mandatory thing. You might say, well, that sounds pretty bad, but at least we can always go to like Mint Mobile, tlm.li/mm and just get myself some cards. But the problem is in India, in a rule earlier this February 2025, you now have to tie every SIM card in the country must be biometrically tied to your person. So talk about dystopian craziness, right? So if you're planning to get a new SIM card, you must follow the latest government rules to avoid rejection. Prime Minister's office has made Aadhaar-based biometric verification a mandatory for all new SIM connections to prevent fraud and cybercrime. Telecom retailers can no longer issue SIM cards without verifying a customer's identity through Aadhaar. Also, new regulations will track the number of SIMs registered under one person's name and require a photo taken from 10 different angles. How do you get 10 different angles of this? Of course, a later article in the news, there is some discussion about the toilet cameras. Maybe one of these angles is taking a picture of your anal print, I guess. I don't know. But 10 different angles. This was initiated to stop the misuse of fake SIM cards, oftentimes used in scams. And so here we have a country which is forcing biometric verification to issue a SIM card and then requiring a SIM card for all messaging communications. Well, what did India just do? Well, they just added in the best know your customer laws in the history of the planet. And you better believe it, the governments are going to look at this and start salivating. Like, this is so amazing. Of course, one of the challenges is when you happen to have these apps like WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram and you're forcing them to be tied to a phone number. Well, those phone numbers are not always secure, as WhatsApp discovered. Researchers say they were able to identify 3.5 billion WhatsApp accounts thanks to flaws in the software. So if you're going to send a message, you have to first check to see, basically you have to check with an API service to check if the number is actually registered with WhatsApp. Well, it turns out that API service, at least at the time they did this test, was not actually secured in any way, shape, or form. And so these researchers were able to ping that API, and they were actually able to, without any rate limiting, they sent 7,000 queries per second from a single source IP address. The volume of traffic should raise the eyebrows of any decent IT administrator, yet WhatsApp did not block the IP or the test accounts, and the researchers say they experienced no effective rate limiting. So at this time, the researchers found that 7,000 queries per second with no rate limiting was able to be pinged across that API service, and they were able to find 3.5 billion active WhatsApp accounts directly tied to phone numbers, and oftentimes get meta information, some of which contained actual real identifying information about those people based on what you put in your WhatsApp profile. And so what India is trying to do here is put together this weird, crazy surveillance state that allows you to basically tie everything to an individual identity, to an individual number, so the messaging apps then get effectively blocked out. Now, they have very laudable goals. Lots and lots and lots and lots of scams come from India. That is true. Maybe we need to have some form of global laws allowing cross-country jurisdictions, so when an Indian scam center is targeting grandma, maybe they should allow the FBI to bust in on the Indian scam centers. That way, maybe some of the crime might stop, but even then, because, I mean, how many times do you get a lot of these calls from people and they're basically just scammers, and but they're just offshore out of the United States jurisdiction. So it doesn't work to put your number on the do not call list. That doesn't work because they don't care. They're calling from Singapore, they're calling from India, they're calling from the Caribbean islands, they're calling from everywhere that they can possibly call. Now, India is trying to close this, but the problem is criminals do criminal things, and they're going to be able to source their own SIM card farms. They're going to continue to do this. All you're going to do is stop the individual people. But then I got to thinking, isn't this kind of what Microsoft is trying to do? They're trying to tie all communications biometrically to a person. This is what Microsoft is trying to do with Windows 11. We're going to force you on an internet connection. We're going to force you on a Microsoft account. We're going to highly, 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 highly strongly recommend that you utilize this this service with Windows Hello. Now, there is a difference in that Windows Hello, allegedly, the biometric information does not leave your computer, whereas in India, it actually has to be biometrically verified through the government's biometric system. But still, Microsoft is able, with tying to phone numbers, tying to other pieces of information about you, Microsoft is able to authenticate every single user using every single computer if everybody is using Windows 11 the way they want. And that is very much like what India is attempting to do. And it begs this question, are we actually going to see a situation here where other governments start paying attention to what India is doing here and going, this sounds like a great way to stop scammers and stuff. And basically all they do is they produce a giant dragnet inside of the the government here, which is a fundamental problem. But is that not something that every country in here would salivate over doing right now? So let me know your thoughts about that. Again, the whole stream that we did here is available in the link down below, so you can have a look at that. And I hope you enjoy switching to Linux. All right, let's jump on over to our second topic here. That was short. I'm okay with that. Procrastination of the end of the year holiday stuff is upon me strong. So, you know. All right. Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. We are going to have to talk a little bit about passwords and passkeys and stuff like that because, you know, they told us, oh, you're going to switch from passwords to MFA. That's perfectly secure. And yeah, we're going to get into a new method they have of getting around that one, which actually I found wasn't even a new method. It was presented to me as a new method this week. I started researching security of the passkeys, and I found that the new method this week was talked about by security researchers last year. Interesting. And then, of course, they got to get away from all that to Passkeys, which carries with it several fundamental flaws. And oh yes, DEF CON just showed strategy to bypass passkey authentication as well. So, you know, we're kind of screwed here. You know, what do you do? Well, I think the best we can do is minimize our accounts and be very vigilant about what and how we are signing into. So we'll go ahead and start with how attackers are bypassing your MFA. Of course, multi-factor authentication, sometimes called 2FA. Of course, that's, you know, two factors. This is multi-factors because you can secure an account with multiple different alternative ways. And in fact, one of the passkey arguments people say is having MFA in addition to passkeys inherently introduces a security risk. Go figure that one out sometime. But it's true. It is true. We have to be more vigilant than this, and maybe we need to have a society that has less accounts, you know. So this is called EvilGenX. Obviously a play on words from Nginx, one of the web servers. So EvilGenX is an attacker in the middle phishing toolkit that sits between you and real world websites, relaying genuine sign-in flow. So you land on a page that looks like Microsoft's sign-in page, and so you are expecting certain behavior. So you enter the username and the password, and just like Microsoft, it boom pings you back multi-factor authentication code, and then you enter the multi-factor authentication code. But really what this is you're on some scammer website that's just feeding that information back to a command and control server, which is then tied to the legitimate login. So they're able to bypass your 2FA codes. And, you know, what's the number that comes through? You enter the number, they take that number and they put it right on into the site. And now they have bypassed your MFA, and now they have an actual legitimate session token for your account. So, you know, this is what those guys in India are trying to stop, right? And so they're able to use the session cookie and bypass the MFA by passing through the security challenges. Now, this would not work as well if you're doing something like a a YubiKey. So if you're doing a hardware key two-factor, it would not work. If you're doing a passkey, it would not work. But that's actually where one of the attack vectors comes from. We'll get into that in a moment here. But the attacker sends you a link to a fake page that looks exactly like the same, for example, a bank login page, web shop, or your email or company's single sign-on page. In reality, the page is a live proxy to the real site. Evil Gen X isn't just stealing your login, it also captures a session cookie. The attacker can reuse it to impersonate you, often without triggering another MFA prompt. And so that really is the concern here. And so, okay, sure, I'll accept the terms for some site that's going to clear its cookies. Why not? But this actually article is pretty good here. So, passkeys are not attack-proof, not until implemented properly. This is an excellent article because it really covers a lot of the... is this the one I was thinking it was? Oh, no, this one is. Okay, we'll get to this one, though, first. So, passkeys are not attack-proof. This is where we actually saw that first instance of Evil Gen X. And note that this is in July of 2024. But it's talking here about poorly implementing your passkeys, like offering a backup. So, ask yourself this question: what happens if I lose my passkey? Well, you have to have an alternative way into the account, right? Well, what these guys are arguing here is that if you're implementing your passkeys with a less secure backup, it can still lead to the Evil Gen X attack in the middle, or adversary in the middle attack, bypassing the authentication flow using the procedure that we had just discussed. So the finding means accounts believed to be safer behind passwordless passkey authentication, such as on online banking. I wish online banking supported cat passkeys. Most of them don't. E-commerce, social media, cloud accounts, software development platforms can still be broken into. Passkey redaction for GitHub, Microsoft Access, through detailed POC, Stewart noted in the blog that open-sourced adversary in the middle software like Evil Gen X can be used to hoax users of popular IT services like GitHub, Microsoft, and Google. They were basically to bypass it. Why? Because in this case, if your passkey doesn't work, you have a backup means of getting into your account, right? That's really what they're getting at here. So it further emphasized that most of all the backup authentication methods, ones used on top of passkeys, are prone to the adversary in the middle attacks. These include passwords, security questions, push notifications to trusted devices, social trusted contacts, recoveries, code over SMS, email, phone, know your customer document verification, or magic link. Basically any way other than the basic passkey, can get into the account. All right. So how do you back it up? Well, you have multiple different passkeys is a great option. We'll get into why that's a challenge here in a moment. But ultimately what they're saying here is, yeah, passkeys are this deeply secure thing. However, what happens if you lose your passkey? This is my fundamental problem with what Microsoft is doing, because they're forcing this passkey type system onto people, but they don't know what it is. They don't know where the passkeys are stored, and they have no idea how to access that account in the event their current computer or whatever device they're having breaks down. And we're going to get into why that is a problem. But first, I want to cover this. I'm going to move my article slightly out of order because the passkeys are not clearly perfect here. So users unaware their passkeys are hijacked in DEF CON 2025. Leave it to a bunch of crazy Las Vegas hackers to figure this one out, right? So they say the passwords are the internet's weak points. The passkeys are the golden rule. Nope. Technology is not without its flaws. At DEF CON 2025, researchers from SquareX revealed a vulnerability that can undermine the entire system, showing that browsers can be manipulated to intercept or forge the authentication process. So by doing some form of malware on the browser, they are able to bypass the authentication or pass your passkey authentication down through the phishing site, just like the adversary in the middle attack. Isn't that wonderful? So attackers can exploit the passkeys. Attackers can register fake keys, bypass biometric checks, or force users to re-register their passkeys under an attacker-controlled environment. In practice, this means the threat actor would have unauthorized access to bank accounts, SaaS platforms, and cloud services. So effectively, in this instance here, what they're saying is you go in, and you've done this before. Like, I have one of my payment processors. For whatever reason, they're still stuck in like 1999, and every 3 months they want me to change my password. They haven't gotten the note that like 5 years ago, the organization that puts together Passkeys said stop requiring people to change your passwords all the time. Only change it in the event of a breach or some necessary thing. But people are so trained to do this frequently that they're using passkeys. They enter the passkey and go, well, you have to re-authenticate your passkey. Oh, okay, I guess I got to re-authenticate my passkey. So they go and do some re-authentication because the average person does not even know how passkeys work most of the time. They're just like tied into it, and they have no earthly idea what they're doing or how they're doing it. And so what ends up happening is the attacker in the middle on the browser ends up registering a passkey into the account. And so they have effectively taken over the account with a passkey. Well, go figure this one out. But that's exactly what they're saying the exploit happens to be, all because technology companies have trained us so many times. We got to re-register keys. We got to redo our passwords. We got to re-authenticate ourselves some other way, even though I've been authenticated for 16 years, happens all the time. So the problem is not the cryptographic method of the passkey. That right now remains intact. I think they're going to crack that eventually. But that right now remains intact. But the browser itself can be intercepted for it because you need to use the passkey tied to something, tied to a browser. And so we have some fundamental problems. Now, I wanted to cover this article here last because this person in here makes some absolutely amazing points in this article from Ars Technica, and this is Dan Gooden. And so passkey technology is elegant, but it's most definitely not usable security. And this is an absolutely incredible article. If you only want to read one article of everything I do tonight, this is probably it. So using the same password everywhere, of course, is easy, but of course it causes a lot of breaches. Using different passwords through password managers, you get that. Of course, now everyone wants us to use the passkeys. And the problem is, again, most people just do not know how all the passkeys systems are working. They don't realize that your Microsoft account is going passwordless. Your new Google accounts, they're trying to push you passwordless. They're trying to put you onto the passkeys. And the problem is that passkey is tied to some physical piece of hardware that most people don't even know exists. Like, I have passkey devices in my OneKey, and I have passkeys registered on accounts, which I can use those in addition to other means of authentication. So, my accounts here, I don't have any phone numbers on my account. People go, well, you're going to have a phone number with YouTube. You're going to have a Gmail account with YouTube. No, you don't. They do not have a phone number for me. They do not have a Gmail account for me. I have passkeys, and I have 2 separate MFA security tokens in addition to that. One is locked in a safe in case something goes tragically wrong, and the other 2 are accessible, available as physical hardware keys, which are themselves locked behind further cryptography. And so there are ways you can do this right. The problem is, as he gets into in this article, is that every single device you're on wants you to use their default means of doing the passkeys, which is where the fundamental problem comes in, because I don't know where that passkey is if I'm an average non-tech person. I just know I got my brand new Windows 11 computer, and then the first thing I'm doing is I'm frustrated because I don't know where my Wi-Fi password is. And so now I'm like, Johnny, can you come over and help me set up my computer? And then Johnny comes over and he remembers where the password for my Wi-Fi is. So he gets that. He puts the password in for the Wi-Fi. Great. We're awesome. We got it. And then, we get into the next phase. You set up your Microsoft account. I don't have a Microsoft account. Well, I guess you got to get a Microsoft account now, Grandpa. Where's that password? You don't have a password. It's so amazing. You just look at this pretty camera right here. It just logs you right on in. What happens if you shave? I don't know. But then you have this passkey authentication system, which is in your computer and in your Microsoft account, which they're making passwordless tied to the computer. So if your computer TPM module dies, you have no other means to get into your account. Of course, we know setting up that password for that backup is radically insecure and prone to those adversary in the middle attacks. So you can't possibly do that. But it gets worse as he gets into. So he says he likes the technology, and I agree that technology is good if we can have a sane means of implementing it. And that's the problem. Even if you want to use the passkey system in KeePass XD, I'm still forced to use the browser extension, which itself found itself vulnerable. Not KeePass XC's, but everybody's browser extension was similarly vulnerable to certain types of attacks. But in order to use passkeys in KeePass XC, I have to use the browser extension, which means if I'm on an Android device, I can't use the passkey inside of that because there's not a browser extension for KeePass XC, because there's not even an official KeePass XC app that supports passkeys that I'm aware of. And if I'm wrong, let me know. We're talking on an Android device. And so the FIDO2 specification is the overlapping web-auth predecessors underpin passkeys, nothing sort of pure elegance. Unfortunately, as support has become ubiquitous in browsers, operating systems, password managers, and other third-party offerings, the ease and simplicity envisioned have been undone. So much so that they can't even be considered as usable security, a term I define as a security measure that's easy or only incrementally harder to use as a less secure alternative. Why does he do this? Well, because he says that this massive difference in ecosystems has fostered a jumble of competing workflows, appearances, and capabilities that can greatly vary depending on the particular site, OS, and browser agents such as native iOS and Android apps. Rather than help users understand the dizzying number of options and choose the right one, each implementation strong arms the user into choosing the vendor's preferred choice. Then he kind of gets into what he's doing down here is he gets into when you're signing up, like, for example, if you're using, and I think he uses PayPal as an example down here. If you're using PayPal in a Windows computer, it will utilize the TPM module and tie that to your Windows Hello so you can smile at the camera, enter your PIN or press your fingerprint on there, and that will be a passkey into PayPal. The problem is if you need to then use PayPal on your phone. Well, Windows Hello's not there anymore, and now PayPal's like, hey, we need a passkey. Like, what? Now, this is where they're trying to be like, well, verify on this computer and then enter the code over here, or verify on the computer, we'll give you a QR code to scan with your phone. Well, what if you're logging into your PayPal account at your friend's house and your computer's not sitting there? That's where he's getting his fundamental challenge, because then he gets into it that every single application, every single app, every single device wants you to use their preferred means, which means there is no cross operating system compatibility among passkeys that easily works. If you had a single dongle and you could plug that dongle into the phone, into the computer, whatever else, and everything worked, passkeys would be absolutely amazing. People understand you have a passkey, it's on this device. They should sell passkey fobs in packs of 2. Set up both of them here, put one of them in your safe, and keep one of them on your person. Solves the problem, but nobody wants to do that because Google wants you to use theirs in the Chrome browser, Android wants you to use theirs in the Android system, iPhone wants you to use theirs in the iPhone system, Windows wants you to use theirs in Windows Hello, and Mac wants you to use theirs inside of the iCloud account. And then, of course, some of these want to cross-sync all of your passkeys to the cloud, and that is where your fundamental hack is going to come from. So he gets into this, he says, it's more complicated if I want to log into LinkedIn on Firefox for Android and presented with the following dialog box. You're using on-device encryption. Unlock your passwords to sign in. Now, he says down here, at this point, I do not know if it's Google or if it's Firefox that's presenting me this non-intuitive response. I just want to open LinkedIn using the passkey that's been synced by 1Password. So he's using 1Password, which in theory, using 1Password should be easy to do. But apparently it's not. And so he says here, somehow, let's see. He says, I just want to open LinkedIn using the passkey that's synced by 1Password to all my devices. Somehow, the mysteriously entity responsible for this message, and he says in this case it's Google, has hijacked the process in an attempt to convince me to use its platform for passkeys. Also consider the experience on WebAuth.io, a site which demonstrates how the standard works under different scenarios. When a user wants to enroll a physical security key to log in on Mac OS, they receive a dialog that steers them towards using a passkey instead and to sync it to the cloud. So use the Touch ID to sign in. The passkey for this site will be saved in iCloud keychain and available on your device. Or you got to click the button down here for other options. So if he says I'm using synced passkeys inside of 1Password, I have to go all the way down into other options in order to get that to show up. All right. And so what I see over here then is now he ends up clicking the other button. And then once you click that button to go other options, it still defaults you to the iCloud keychain. Because it's Mac and it wants you to do that. So then he has to go down and click the security key button, verify, sign in with the security key. So he basically says here the problem is the issue of too many cooks in the kitchen. So most funnel you to the vendor's sync passkey option and don't make it clear how to use other things. Brown noted that Chrome, Apple, Windows all force you to use their synced passkeys by default, and you have to click through prompts to use the alternatives. He says this seems to have failed the make it easy for users test, which in my view is the whole point of passkeys. He complained that passkeys implementations to date lock users into platforms they created credentials on. That's my problem with Windows. Okay, that's the problem with Windows. Okay, we have Windows. It wants to automatically put all your passkeys on that one particular device, on that one particular device, one particular TPM module, which of course could go bad. So then he mentions down here, more helpful still is using cross-platform password manager to store and sync passkeys. He says he's been using 1Password to do that for a month with no problems. Most other name brand passengers likely perform as well in keeping with FIDO2 specs. These credentials are end-to-end encrypted, which of course you can do passkeys with KeePassXC, but of course you have to have the browser extension installed in order to get into work. But honestly, they work out pretty well. But this is the fundamental problem that we see with the entire passkey system. Passkeys are great if implemented properly. The problem is every single platform and every single browser wants you to use theirs. You're on an Android device, you enter a site that wants a passkey, it wants you automatically to save a passkey on that device. I don't want to save it on that device. I want to have one simple set of using passkeys, and there's no easy way to send that. And that's really where the problem is that we have a giant, massive mess of passkeys, and until that issue is solved, passkeys are not a viable option for a standard person. Your standard user, your standard grandma, grandpa, Uncle Charlie, whatever else, you know what? They cannot navigate. Like, I can't navigate half the time, and I know what I'm doing. Okay? That's the problem. So let me know your thoughts about that. Of course, the whole stream is linked down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. All right, we'll take a little bit of a comment break here. Fresh Vintage is on. Greetings. Password's ABC123, but don't tell anyone. That's right. Hey, I actually had a client that was actually their password. Like, our site was hacked. We don't know how. I'll give you one guess. Oh, boy. We got 41 watching on Zatubies. Let's see. Okay. We got we got Night of Light. Greetings there. How's it going there? Surprise live stream. Yeah, same time and place as usual. We got Ben on from Storm OS. Greetings to you. Could be because of how YouTube. Yeah, we're having discussion. Somehow someone was dropped from the mod team for some reason. By the time tonight's show ends at the latest, maybe. Oh, okay. Well, if I can download it tomorrow and give it a look, I will see. I plan on pulling out the Starlink dish and downloading a couple distros tomorrow. So shoot me an email if you finish that. KO2610 has been chatting with AI for a couple hours. I hope you're still sane and reasonable. We do have an update on the AI self-deletory case. I wasn't sure if we put it in SillyVille, but it's no laughing matter, so we didn't. But holy crap, OpenAI is, I'm pretty sure they're evil. I'm pretty sure Satan might be the CEO over there, so I don't know. We'll see. Let's see, trying to make it calculate some heating stuff in 15 minutes and forgets what we agreed on. Oh, yeah. Oh, I found DeepSeek did a better job of remembering what we mentioned. And a lot of it is looking at the models and where and how you're using them. You want to be using, if you want to spend some time giving it like a set of instructions to remember, you have to use a model that has learning enabled. So like Olama, Gemma 3 does not have learning enabled, so it becomes a patronizing, incompetent buffoon. Gemini 3 is actually retarded. But DeepSeek, it takes way longer for it to generate stuff, but it does remember the conditions you gave it from conversation to conversation. And so, yeah, it depends on which model you're using. You need to look up and use one that has learning on. Otherwise, it will not. And even DeepSeek doesn't do that. Let's see. Did that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, pre-record. I don't want to get into a whole month of just pre-recording the show, though. I definitely want to keep doing the news live. It's just the question of when is it for the month of December. We'll figure that out later. AdHard database was hijacked, and now they need a way to secure digital ID networks. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, India's biometric database was hacked. Until the nonprofit I work for switched to a new VoIP phone system, my remote site number would get hit by upwards of 12 times a day with Indian scams. Every time the Indian scammers call you, just ask them to deliver a Slurpee. Oh, 7-Eleven, you're calling. Thank you. Can you deliver a Slurpee to me, please? Thank you. Thank you. Come again. Right. Okay. So the Banhammer has a video announcement. All right, I'm not privy to that video announcement. Maybe I haven't been paying attention. Okay, it'll be a surprise for all of us. All right. My question is, what happens if something like YubiKey gets lost or stolen? Yes, so that's why I have two. In fact, I do have like 3 different devices for it now. One of those is the One Key, which allows you to do Passkeys as well. But I have 2 YubiKeys, and I always set the accounts up on both of them. One of them stays locked in a safe, and the other is the one that's actively used. And so that's what you do. So let's see. Since CPM 2.0 fiasco, I just switched to Linux, but I like my old computer. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I have no problem running TPM 2.0 on most of my computers, but I turn it off along with Secure Boot as I find it annoying. Yep. The socket to install the chip. Not sure whenever we take a newer 2.0 if there's a chip version of it. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they're soldered onto your motherboard, and sometimes they actually come out. It's not all the comments we had. My YouTube feed crashed halfway through the recorded session, so I refresh it all, and I'm not sure if I'm missing any comments or not. So if I did miss your comments, my apologies. Love a good Windows rant. All right. Anyone see Linus Torvalds on LTT? I did not. No, I saw he was there, but I didn't watch it. Good thing. I mean, after hosting 12 Linux installs, trying to get the video drivers uploaded through the command prompt. Let's see. ISO's compiling now. Should be up by the end of the show. Nice. We've gone all AMD or Intel. Yeah, I'm not a fan of NVIDIA. Work still makes me change my password every 3 months. Yeah, they changed that out of the standard a long time. Yes, that is the same Ben from StormOS. Yep. Okay. My work lets me use my own hardware except IP phone system. ISP provided gateway, but I've disabled the Wi-Fi, so it sucks. Yeah. Hauling on my Linux development. I'm looking towards developing my own OS from scratch with modern technologies. Hey, like Rust? Watch it and laugh. No one asked about... Uh-oh, I didn't see that. All right, we got 38 over there. Let's see, we got 17 currently watching over on Odyssey, wherever on Odyssey does. Catching this live, not something that happens lately. Greetings. Switch links today. Microsoft's going to create a feature to permit all your local files be accessed by their AI. Also, Claude and is that anthropomorphic? Is that Anthropic? Is what you mean? Are there? I haven't seen that one, but I'd love to. You got some PCJ? Yep. Poor kitty. He lived a good life, though. Now I got one more I'm waiting to go. You know, she's older. The one that survives is older. In the same country that banned VLC. Hope so. I'm straighter than a roller. Let's see. Straighter than the... Yikes. Okay. I'm not going to read that comment. All right. Figure Wi-Fi phones that don't use SIM cards will become popular. Yeah, but you just can't use a messaging app on them. So like the hated one, right? He uses, I think he's using Signal on a phone without a SIM card. And yeah, that if he's in India, he can't do that anymore with the new plan they're doing. Criminals on the borders, you outlaw jurisdiction A, they move to activity jurisdiction B. Yep. Scam call, get your free $200 Walmart gift card. Hey, I had someone offer me cheap $250 Rolexes the other day. I was thinking about taking him up on that offer. He sent me an email and everything. I mean, he even gave me a good place I could buy it. Give him the money. I mean, I was thinking about it, but, you know. Decided not to, which is sad, actually. My Garmin watch broke. My Garmin watch broke last Saturday. So I was doing a little bit of research. We'll do a video about it eventually. But the Garmin 55, which is actually available at the Walmart down the road from where I'm camped at right now, actually syncs with, it appears to, I'll have to verify it, it appears to sync with Gadget Bridge, allowing you to pull all of these smart data off the watch without touching the internet. I'm going to experiment with that. And then I thought about doing that or the Pebble watch. There's the new Pebble watch is out, fully open source now. And I think they're releasing their next batch of watches in February. The problem I have with that one is it's like an Apple Watch replacement. It wants to do text messaging and calls and all that kind of crap on it. And I absolutely in no way, shape, or form want any form of crap like that. So I just want something for basic exercise stats and movement stats. That's all I want. Have to connect at least one time with Garmin's proprietary app to use. So I'm not, if that's true, I'm not even going to consider that, but I'll be doing the research on those this week. And one of our supporters actually has the Forerunner 55 and likes it. So I think I might do that one to replace it. But I've been looking at my wrist a whole lot this week going on Eastern Standard Time. So it's like, I got to remember what time zone I'm in. So my phone still keeps the accurate time. So there you go. All right. Dan's over on Rumble. 50% on YouTube is the normal volume on my side. There you go. Mint Mobile works great for me. 180 a year, 5 gig plan. Yep. Love Mint Mobile. Notice during the second channel, have an important video announcement. All right. Watch Linus and laugh. No one asked him about what the developer of TempleOS said about it. Not using Rust, it's crap. Yep. All right. Come on, man. It's perfect until it causes the entire internet to crash with a faulty Rust code and Cloudflare. Whoops. I thought it was perfect. Encryption login and or sudo. Okay, so in full disk encryption of doing encryption as well, but Lux is generally the default. So you can tie the full disk decryption to one. But it's a fairly complicated setup at this time. I know Ubuntu has the option to do it on the later versions, so you can do that. And of course, you still have the means to log in with the passkey as a separate backup. But if you have that TPM 2.0 module or a YubiKey you want to keep permanently plugged into your computer, you can set that up. It's a little bit more complicated. I've never done it because I don't care. I'm happy with the complicated password to get in. So that's what you want to do. And then once you get the machine decrypts and boots, then you need to log in with the user account login. If you're extra paranoid, you might be able to encrypt that home partition as well, but I'm not sure if home partition encryption is much of a thing much these days. I don't know. Let's see, and or sudo, you can have them both one password. Yeah, in generally though, YubiKeys can be stacked, so you can have multiple of them. Yes, so you have backup stuff. Older cat, 15-ish, gave me a scare. She had found a piece of string from a bag used in the... Able to get back out without hurting her. Yep. Oh, I got my 10-minute marker. Thank you, Evan. All right, we're going to stop right there and come on back. Of course, I got to clear out the old articles first. There we are. Take a drink. Moving on to QuickLines. All right, the first quick line. We have an interesting rarity here. Amazon is actually issuing refunds back to eligible Prime customers to settle the suit. Usually when a company gets in trouble with the FTC, they don't generally have to pay money back to the customer that was defrauded. They just give take them all out for a steak dinner or something and enjoy the rest of their life until they get caught again. And then they just keep repeating the process. But this case here, FTC kind of says, no, you kind of got to refund people. So they have put aside $2.5 billion to refund Prime customers. Now, this boils back to Amazon was effectively caught automatically signing some people up and then making it very hard to cancel a Prime subscription. They say eligible Prime members will soon see payments from the online retail giant as part of a settlement stemming from federal allegations. Now, my guess is we're not going to see actual payments. My guess is they're going to throw a cash credit onto their Amazon account. That's my guess. I have a sneaky suspicion Amazon is not mailing checks or reversing credit card transactions. Like, we'll give you this money and we know you're going to spend it on us anyway. But there you go. And we are dropping frames there. Let me just a second here. All right, well, that should come back. Yeah, we're dropping frames right now. My apologies if it lags a little bit, but we will persevere. Man, we've dropped 10% of frames in the whole stream just in a short period of time. Come on back. Okay, I think we're back. Yeah, almost. Gee, we're not even using Starlink tonight. We're just on cellular. Cellular's been doing some weird stuff lately. I'm wondering if it's solar flares or something. All right, I think we're back. I think the internet's back. All right. I think we're back. Let's go ahead and proceed on. Eligible Amazon Prime members will soon see payments. They agreed to make the payout in response to the 2023 FTC lawsuit that alleged enrolled customers in Prime without their consent. And then the company offered $1.5 billion in refunds to subscribers and capped it at $51 per person. So not a whole lot of refunds, just a few months. So eligible subscribers must live in the United States and have signed up for Amazon Prime between June 23rd, 2019 and June 23rd, 2025 to receive a refund. And there will be 2 subscriber waves. So the first group who have signed up for Prime through a challenged enrollment flow and haven't used more than 3 Prime benefits in 12 months, these guys will automatically just get money back. And then those ones, they don't need to do anything. The second group who signed up through a challenging enrollment flow or attempted to cancel their membership unsuccessfully during the 5 years and haven't used more than 10 Prime benefits during any 12-month period, they will also be enrolled. And so we're going to see a few refunds on that. All right. This one here would be funny if it wasn't so tragic, but this is the devil apparently is now working at OpenAI, and so allegedly, I got to say here, so OpenAI, if you remember, there was a lawsuit now against OpenAI suggesting that a teenager had hold on one second here. I'm seeing no data on YouTube. Are we actually live on YouTube right now? Are we back? Okay, that's interesting. My YouTube there was saying no. I have no idea if we lost. I have no idea if we lost anything. Let me check the other streams real quick. Are we still going? Give me just a second. I'm checking the streams everywhere. Hello, are you going? I have no idea if Odyssey is working or not. Okay. Rumble appears to be working. I cannot tell if Odyssey is working or not. Odyssey is just sitting there spinning on me right now. Okay. Odyssey. Audio's out of sync on your end. Not much I can do about that. Just a second. I have no idea if Odyssey is still working. Odyssey might have died. Rumble and YouTube look good. Yeah, I can't tell. I cannot tell if Odyssey is streaming or not. When I refresh the page, I am kind of stuck in some weird spot that I have no idea where I'm at. So, but everything else looks okay. So we're going to carry on. We're going to carry on here. So, okay. So OpenAI says that this teenager who engaged in self-deletory processes, they should be held harmless because the teenager violated the terms of service by talking about these subjects. Did you have dinner with Satan last night? I mean, how do you possibly justify that? We're sorry that your child is no longer with us. We truly are sorry your child is no longer with us. But we have to tell you that he violated our terms of service. Therefore, it's all his fault. Yeah. Way too many sad stories about various AI chatbots convincing people to engage in self-deletion. But for now, for the first time, we get to see how AI companies are going to defend themselves legally against the concerning trend. All right. So the terms of use provides that ChatGPT users must comply with OpenAI's usage policies, which prohibit the use of ChatGPT for, quote, suicide or, quote, self-harm. So, according to OpenAI, it's not their fault ChatGPT convinced them to do that to himself because talking to it like that is against the terms of service. That plumbs a new depth of evil, people. Under the terms of use, users under 18 are forbidden from using ChatGPT without the consent of a parent or guardian. Now, this is an interesting one, right? So now we need to verify everybody's age. Here's a thought. Let's just keep your children off the internet. Now, how much of this is the parent? How much of this is ChatGPT? We don't know. Because there's actually a lucid point of their argument says this. In weeks and months before his death, the person told ChatGPT he was taking increasing dosages of medications, which he stated worsened his depression and made him want to self-delete. The medication has a black box warning risk for such ideations and behavior in adolescents and young adults, especially during periods as here the dosage has been changed. So he is on, that is the black box warning on all SSRIs. So he's on an SSRI, which is already bad. The amount of people engaged in bad behavior on those medications should immediately prompt the entire medical industry to stop prescribing them to look for better options. They always make things worse in the long term. Short term, different story. Long term, always make things worse. You start messing with the dosage, always makes things worse. And this is their lucid argument. So what they're going to come with is say, hey, these engage in this behavior. The problem is AI in general has been known to intensify any forms of mental illness. So is it OpenAI's fault, or is it his fault, or is it the parent's fault? I think OpenAI has enough data to suggest that their products make things worse for everybody. And by releasing it on the world, they have to accept the culpability of a teenager might use their product. And therefore, culpability. Isn't this the same argument that many people want to have with a firearm? Oh, the kid hurt himself with a firearm. It was too easy to fire for a kid. Therefore, it's the firearm company's fault. Is that valid or not valid? I'm not going to make an argument one way or the other. I'm just saying it's a very similar line of reasoning that is given for this, among other things. And so the challenge we have here is that AI universally makes things worse. Children should not be using AI services at all. Actually, I think children should mostly not be on the internet at all. How do we solve it? Do we solve this by having age verification on every website? I don't think so. I think the best way to do it is have a societal pact that our kids shouldn't be on the internet. We should not be encouraging it. We should not be giving phones to kids. It should be a societal thing. How does that look like? Well, schools can ban phones and all forms of technology for kids. Very easy to do. We have a universal thing. And then if your kids go home and you want to plop them down in front of an iPad to keep them babysat for a couple hours, well, that's on you. What about the societal reactions? Well, that's on them and you. I don't have any other way to say it. But the fact of the matter is the internet is not a place for children. We can't be letting them on it. Now, next question is a 16-year-old a child? That's another question. Now, if this is a 8-year-old, we might be having a different discussion than a 16-year-old. But still, it is absolutely ludicrous for OpenAI to sit here and say, well, it's his fault because he broke the terms of service by talking about something he shouldn't be talking about. Why doesn't OpenAI have a way in there to immediately stop it? Oh, there's a thought, you know. You're the AI company. Of course, that would mean that ChatGPT stops talking to people when certain things come up, and that goes against their desire. But anyway. CrowdStrike denies a breach after an insider sent internal screenshots to hackers. Once again, it's not enough. And this is the reason I do not agree with privacy policies. This is why if I buy that new Garmin watch I was talking about in the comment break, I will never connect it to Garmin services. You know what? Even if the Garmin services are the best of intentions and the best privacy policy, you know what? They still have rogue employees in there who could leak data. They could grab a subset of data and sell it to some health insurance company. They could have some health insurance company insider be like, hey, feed us information on anybody you have who is meeting certain health thoughts or whatever else. All right. And so the fact of the matter is that's one of those things that we see. All right. And so what we're going to do here is, in this instance, it was an employee of CrowdStrike. Now, if that name sounds somewhat familiar, this is the company that pushed a botched update that shut down the world a year and a half ago. Okay. This is that company. So an insider shared internal system screenshots with hackers after scattered lapsus hunters leaked them on Telegram. The company stresses no systems were breached and no customer data was exposed. They said they identified and terminated the suspicious insider last month following an internal investigation that he determined he shared pictures of his computer screens externally. And so effectively they said hackers never got anything because they identified this and stopped the access outside. Spy hunters told Bleeping Computers they offered the CrowdStrike insider $25,000 for access to the company's network. So that's the type of thing we're talking about, folks. We're talking about hackers coming in, offering thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for access to services. This is insane. And it's a reminder that even if the company has the best privacy policy, the fact your data is there at all is a massive warning. It's a massive warning. It's all there. All right. And so there's that. All right, next. New ClickFix wave infects users with hidden malware. So this is a type of malware that these malware companies are having a really hard time stopping because the challenge we're seeing with these circumstances is that the attackers are not installing malware. They're giving you perfectly clean pictures that instructs you on how to install their malware, which is bypassing the virus scanners. And on top of bypassing the virus scanners, what they are actually doing at this point in time with this being done is if their software becomes identified by a virus scanner, the way they're doing this, they just need to change one line of code and then they can bypass that. So here's how it works. So they're mimicking Windows update screens to trick people in running it, because of course we know Windows incessantly pops up annoying screens on your computer all the time telling you that it has to install updates. So again, people are getting normalized by this. So now Windows is working on updates. Please do not tear off your computer. Part 3 of 3, security. Check security, 95%. Attention, to complete the update, install the critical security update. Hold Windows, press R, hold Control, press V, press OK, or Enter. Yeah, what they're doing is the website pops something into your, they pop something into your, clipboard. The Windows R launches the command prompt. The Control V pastes that code they put into your clipboard into there, and hitting enter starts a PowerShell script which downloads and installs the malware. That's what they're doing. So wonderful. All right, Microsoft Teams guest access leaves users exposed to attacks. This is an interesting one. Of course, everybody's using Teams. Hey, I actually had to jump on a Teams call with somebody today. Lord help us. All right, so the funny thing is, even if your organization has the best security protocols ever, the security of the call is determined by the host. So if you get hit by a person that's like, hey, well, you need to have a Teams call, and they have a horribly insecure Teams environment, your security protocols are overwritten by the host's horrible security protocols. So if your security protocols are so good, if they're so good that you can't install anything, everything checks the company servers, whatever, it's so bad. If that's the case, it doesn't work if you're on somebody else's instance. So the finding shows that when employees accept guest invitations from outside organizations, they may unknowingly step into environments with zero security protections. So the research warns attackers can abuse this by creating their own Microsoft 365 tenants with all protections turned off, creating what Ontenu describes as a protection-free zone. The moment a victim accepts a chat invitation, they enter a zone without any warnings or safeguards. So once again, I assert here that Microsoft should be liable for any harm that comes by a fraudster using their services to commit crime. Because you're not going to get money out of them. No person will. I can't get my money back out of them. But you are a global national corporation with business ventures in every single country. You can be like, oh, a person in your country defrauded one of our customers. We are going to pay him back, and we are going to pull it out of your assets. You will get the company, the countries with the scammers to act really quick. Unfortunately, they'll act like India and, block everybody down into biometrics. But hey, at least the scammers might stop. I don't know. So when the victim accepts the invitation, many organizations wrongly believe their own Defender configurations carry over with the user. Ontenu states that this belief is false. The protection applies from where the conversation is hosted, not on where your user account lies. So even if your company is the best company ever, your security is going to be determined by the person running the call. Isn't that frightening? He notes that makes guest invitations trivial to deliver, especially since most organizations accept invitation from any Microsoft 365 tenants worldwide. Careful with those Teams invites, folks. All right, sleeper browser extensions. These ones were playing the long game. 7 years of behaving normally. All of a sudden, 4.3 million browser extensions turned on live and turned into rogue botnets. Many of these were featured or verified status in Chrome and Edge stores. They push the silent updates that turn the add-ons into spyware. So this works because when an extension is first added, it undergoes a tremendous amount of scrutiny. But then all future updates, they barely look at. They just push the security updates through. So what they did here is they ran all these extensions, 4.3 million total installs. The most popular was called WeTab. So if you're using an extension called WeTab, yeah, it went rogue. The research attributed the campaign to Shady Panda Group, which has been active since 2018. And they've launched their first campaign in 2023. Simpler case of affiliate fraud, inserting affiliate tracking codes into shoppers' links. So Google vets new extensions carefully, but updates do not get the same attention. And I didn't highlight it apparently, but I believe these were all taken out of the Chrome store, but not yet the Edge store. I think that was the case here. So 3 million installs on Edge. Research down here. Researchers note that Google has removed the extensions. The Edge store versions are still available. So there you go, guys. Your wonderful computer security, brought to you by Microsoft, is still distributing rogue browser extensions. Wonderful. A data breach at analytics giant Mixpanel leaves a lot of open questions. This was an interesting one here. Mixpanel, of course, is one of these big data analytics companies. They're one of the ones that does some session replay, and they collect a whole ton of data that is collected, harvested, and sent out to other companies, data brokers, and things like that. So they apparently had a security incident. They announced hours just before the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday weekend could set new standards for how not to announce a data breach. They basically didn't give us any information. In fact, almost all of the information we have is because OpenAI was one of the companies using Mixpanel. They recognized what was breached. It's actually OpenAI that gave us the best information about this data breach. Go figure. So one of its affected customers, OpenAI, which published its own blog post 2 days later, confirmed what Mixpanel has failed to explicitly say. Their own post that customer data has been taken from Mixpanel. So it helps, basically they said, it relied on software provided by Mixpanel to help understand how OpenAI interacts with users. They said the stolen data includes the user's provided name, email addresses, approximate location, such as city and state based on IP addresses, and some identifiable device data, such as the operating system and browser version. OpenAI did part ways with Mixpanel immediately. They're like, you didn't handle this right. They pulled all the code and they stopped working with them. This is one of the largest web and mobile analytics companies that you might have never heard of unless you work in app development or marketing. The type of breach data is likely to vary by each Mixpanel customer, depending on which customer configured their data collection, how much user data they collected. Analytics companies can collect and store vast amounts of information, including billions of data points about regular customers. Data can include a person's activities, such as opening the app, tapping a link, swiping a page, signing in with a username and password. The event logging data is then attached to information about the user and their device, including device type and the screen width and height. Data collected by analytics companies is meant to be anonymized. However, that's easy to do. What is clear is that companies like Mixpanel store huge banks of information and are becoming the focus for malicious hackers. Of course, because that's the type of information that can help them identify a lot of stuff. All right. Netflix quietly drops support for casting to most televisions. Now, part of this is that most TVs now have a built-in Netflix app, but some people might still be using a Chromecast device to send your Netflix from your phone to your television. If you're using one of the older versions of Chromecast, like one of the first ones, and it's still limping along, that will continue to still work because they really don't have a way to stop it. But everybody else, that stops working unless you're on the highest paid tiers. So have you been trying to cast that Stranger Things because apparently you're a pervert and you want to watch some demon put his tentacle down a kid's mouth and stroke its head? I could not unsee that scene. No, I didn't watch the whole Stranger Things. I just caught that clip and I was like, demons much? Maybe that's the guy at OpenAI. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, has recently updated its support for Google Cast to disable the feature in most situations. You'll have to pay for one of the company's most expensive store plans in order to get that. So Netflix itself is also allergic to anything that would allow people to share passwords to watch a new place, so you can't share your passwords anymore. And the company's support site, spotted by Android Authority, now clarifies casting is only supported in a narrow set of circumstances. First, you will need to be paying for one of the ad-free service tiers, which will start at $18 per month. All right. So frequently travelers who have long appreciated the prevalence of Google Cast support can now drop into an Airbnb and start streaming the content on big screen from your phone without typing your credentials you don't own. Not only is this logging the TVs often logistically annoying, but you also must remember to log out again. So this is with a fundamental problem. If you travel a lot with a Netflix account and you are using a Chromecast, so you do not have to sign your credentials into a stranger's TV, this is a fundamental problem. So, of course, you can still do it. You just got to pay Netflix more for the ability to be able to do that. So there you have it. Swiss Data Protection Group says the U.S. cloud giants cannot meet privacy standards. So this is from an adversary group. They do not have any rule of law, but they make recommendations to governments in Switzerland, and the governments usually take their recommendations. Cloud computing space is dominated by a handful of big tech players. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud together control a large portion of the global cloud market. This business model creates an exploitive relationship where people's privacy is traded for cheap prices. So Privedom passed a resolution calling the Swiss government agencies to reconsider their use of international cloud services for handling of sensitive data. So effectively, like many other EU-based nations, they're trying to say, yeah, we should stop relying on these big tech companies. In fact, what's interesting, I will probably do a video on it sometime soon, but Calibora, who is the one that provides the basically cloud-based version of Office documents, like the cloud-based version of Google Docs or something for Nextcloud, they actually just released a Linux desktop version as well. So that could be interesting to see if we have more options for using that on a local hosted instance. So I'm going to investigate that sometime soon. I just saw the news releases about it, but I didn't get a chance to read it yet. Now, they identified 5 critical problems with the international cloud providers. One is most SaaS solutions lack true end-to-end encryption. And this is true. You know, Microsoft can still read what's in your Microsoft account. Google can still read what's in your Google account. Even though they say it's all deeply encrypted. It's so deeply encrypted that Google people can call the police when they think you're uploading nasty pictures of your kids that your doctor actually asked for. So go figure. Global companies offer insufficient transparency for compliance verification. Cloud services create significant loss of control over data. That's my big one. I want to control my data. I don't want my data in the hands of someone else. Legal uncertainties exist under confidentiality obligations, third parties, and a bunch of other weird stuff. And then, of course, there's the U.S. Cloud Act, which allows data access regardless of storage location. So, even if they want to say, hey, we're going to store it only over here under the Microsoft account, they are still, by the Cloud Act, required, since it's an American company, to have access to that data. And our last quick lines of the night. After nearly 30 years, Crucial is going to stop selling RAM to consumers. So I think there was only 3 RAM companies, and now there's 2. Yikes. Why? Micron Technologies announced it's exiting the consumer RAM business in 2026, ending 29 years of selling RAM and SSDs to PC builders. Why? Well, because all these data centers and AI markets need all these things. And as they say, hey, we've made the difficult decision to exit the consumer business to improve supply and support for larger strategic customers in fast-growing segments. In other words, we can make a ton more money by selling stuff directly to the data centers instead of these piddly little customers who only buy a few sticks of RAM at a time versus a bulk order of, 100,000 units to some data center all at once. So no more Crucial RAM for you. That might mean that RAM prices go even higher than it's already been going. Kind of frightening. The surprise announcement from Micron follows a period of rapidly escalating memory prices, as reported in November. A typical 32 gigs DDR5 RAM kit costs around $82 in August, now sells for $310. Yikes. So there you have it, guys, all for powering this kind of stuff. Where's Greta Thunberg in all this? Come on. How dare you? As Andrew Cunningham reported, laptop maker Framework stopped selling standalone RAM kits in late November to prevent scalping and said it will likely be forced to raise prices soon. So get those Framework computers now before the prices go up. All right, there is our quick lines, and we have a lot of SillyVille. Oh boy, I need to take a drink of water before we get here. All right. First up in SillyVille, well, I think we might have mentioned it. I can't remember, but Zillow added a climate risk score to properties. Oh, this house here might cause a greater impact on the climate. Well, they decided to drop the climate risk scores after agents complained of loss of sales. Yeah, the agent's like, I was going to buy this $1 million house, but then I saw that climate score. We're not going to buy this one anymore. Now, the agent's like, y'all just cost me a commission on $1 million house. You know, and so, yeah, after just over a year after adding the climate risk score, Zillow removes them from more than 1 million listings after real estate agents complained the information was causing them to lose sales. They added it to the site in September 24, saying that more than 80% of buyers consider climate risk when purchasing. What is Zillow smoking? Okay, who in here, let me know, who in here considers your house's impact on the climate when you're deciding to buy it? I'm sorry, I have never met anybody in my life that's their case. Maybe in big cities full of crazy people, but down here on planet Earth where I live, I just don't hear that argument going on. All right, well, the robot revolution is sort of coming. An Iranian tech expo features robots that are simply humans in costume. Okay, then. We're going to go ahead and mute that just in case. Yeah. Okay, then. Well. Yes. Interesting. So yeah, I ran there. There you go. Let's see. Sad because they're not that good at doing robots. They should have just studied the masters. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There's our C3PO. I mean, they could have just studied Joe Biden too. I don't know. He was very robot-like. You know, future's now. We're cutting edge technology. Elon Musk, you'll never catch up with this technology. Binary outfits are the icing on the fake cake. Or hear me out, their tech is so advanced it looks like two humans playing the part of robots. There you go. So that's super advanced tech. That's really what it is. Isn't everyone in Iran a robot to a certain degree? There you go. I bet they can load dishwashers faster than 1X Tech Neo. All right, guys. So there you have it. The Iranian robots are coming. Better watch out. Russian scientists successfully tested a fleet of remote-controlled cyborg spy pigeons. Yeah, that just happened. Did that string of words come out of my mouth? Yes. Next time you notice a pigeon acting suspiciously, you may need to notify. I actually think I encountered one of these. We did a Tux Traveler video years ago where I was on a beach in Texas, and this bird was acting like a robot, and it was sounding like a robot. I was pretty sure it was a CIA spy bird. Maybe it was a Russian pigeon. I don't know. But they say the spy pigeons can be fitted with brain implants and cameras that can be controlled like drones. Near a simulation module, flight controller, and camera module. There you go. So that confirms what many had long feared. The pigeons cannot be trusted. We all knew that, of course. So, and give a hand to all the birds aren't real folks out there. You win this one. All right. Well, down there in Los Angeles, they got them self-driving Waymos. Well, they're off to more fun stuff. The Waymo drives a passenger right into the line of fire during an LAPD standoff. Hey, at least it wasn't an ice raid. And give an update on Waymo, let you know how they're doing. The latest update is this clip out of Los Angeles. Watch and listen to helicopters. Waymo carrying a passenger casually drives into the line of fire. So that white truck had just passed by. I think that's the criminal. I think he might have gotten out of here just he's like, okay, the Waymos are coming for me, man. Let me get out. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Be careful in those Waymos. It might very well drive you in drive you through a crime scene there. All right, driverless cars of the future, they said. Yep. I think it was last time I was talking about Waymos in Los Angeles is when Fostodon. That's why if you're curious, you got down here that little Mastodon-looking logo. That's the Fostodon logo. They banned the channel. I'm pretty sure it was because I was talking about the Waymo cars that were being summoned and then lit on fire by the protesters. Yeah, Fostodon's a crazy group of people down there. They're actually kind of a bunch of idiots. So I don't know. Let's see. Why does it slow down in the middle of the intersection? Is it thinking itself, am I doing this right? The only thing that could have possibly made this funnier is if it ran over the suspect. Unbothered, moisturized, happy in its own lane. So nosy, I'd be happy my Waymo did this. The future is bright. That's Waymo crazy when they thought it would be. Yeah. This is why you need a Cybertruck as a robotaxi. Need that bulletproof car. All right, guys. If you thought Copilot was getting rammed into weird places, they managed to ram Copilot into the retro 80s Microsoft sweaters this year. That's right. So they release these special edition sweaters every year. This one is the one that has all of the old stuff. We got Clippy, we got the old Internet Explorer, we got the old mouse pointer. There's the MS Butterfly, there's the MS-DOS, there's the Go button, little Minecraft guy. That should be kind of new thing. What you don't see right here on this sleeve, right there, that little black line. Yeah, they got a picture of it down here. Ah, it's Copilot. They crammed Copilot on the retro Microsoft sweater. Oh dear. And there's the Minecraft, the Minecraft ghost is like, no, it's even here. I can't even escape Copilot here. All right. So there's that. All right. Talk about the sad state of the future. Nearly half of U.S. kids want in-game currency for Christmas, the study finds. Okay, I'm going to tell you, if your kids want in-game currency, you need to do the best thing for your children and get them off of video games. They're too addicted to video games. Now, the news wasn't all that bad because a lot of it, the kids actually said that what they were looking forward to the most over the Christmas holiday is playing video games with their parents. So that's actually a really good thing that parents and kids can play games. And in this current generation of parents, they can play games. And in fact, one of the kids is, I'm trying to get too much into the personal stuff, but I've mentored a lot of kids over the years. And one of the kids that I mentored over a decade ago, he's got a daughter now. And so I got a chance to visit them a little bit. And I've met her before when she was like 3 or 4. Couldn't remember, but she's like 8 or 9 now. I think she's 8. I think Joe's turning 9 soon. And it's the first real time we got a chance to talk like humans and interact, and they play a lot of video games together, so they do. I think I actually played my first games of Mario Kart. So yeah, we played some Mario Kart with her and it was awesome. And it is a good thing and I think that video games and what that particular kid taught me when he was a kid, when I was mentoring him as an 11-year-old boy, is weird. He was 11. I'm mentoring him. He's got an 8-year-old. I'm actually old, guys. I'm older than you might think. He was one of those ones that really taught me that you can develop a lot of good fellowship over video games, as long as I think you don't overdo it. But I think he was probably the one that taught me that the most, that video games aren't entirely bad. It's just sometimes it's not. But here's the thing. Christmas is such an iconic thing that when your kids, all they want is an in-game currency, it causes some fundamental problems because the in-game currencies are so fast, so fleeting. If you thought that the consumer crap you buy that's physical crap wastes bad fast. Oh, the in-game currencies. So if your kids, if all they want is in-game currency, they're too addicted to video games. You need to find better alternatives. But the good part of the study is that they did actually say that they really wanted to also spend time with their parents. So the study also had some wholesome attitudes. 73% of kids aged 5 to 7 who participated in the survey said they wanted to spend more time with their parents playing video games. So that's the cool part. That really is. But the fact that they want all this in-game currency is kind of frightening. So there's always that. All right. And, oh, God. Scan your anal print, please, Dave. Yeah, the toilet camera. Now, this is not the toilet camera that prints the anal print. There is a toilet that does scan your anal print, and they identified that anal prints are very unique, just like fingerprints. So they can identify you from that. This particular one discreetly only looks down at the waste in the toilet. And so you buy a $600 device and then pay $7 a month for a single use, or $12.99 for the family use if you'd like the scammer to scan all of your family members' poop. And unfortunately, the news that came out this week after some security researchers were like, is this really end-to-end encryption? And they found out, no, it's actually not. The end-to-end encrypted smart toilet camera is not actually end-to-end encrypted, because as we were having a discussion right now, trying to parse out the different types, at rest, end-to-end, in transit, things like that, different formats. Apparently, in end-to-end encryption itself specifically means that nobody has access. So like when Google says it's all end-to-end encrypted to send your data up to the Google Cloud. This is not true, because Google has access to the information that is in that. So it's not purely end-to-end encrypted. They can access it. End-to-end does not mean it's encrypted in transit. That's encryption in transit, or encryption in use. All right. But as this thing's taking pictures of your defecation in the toilet, the Browns at the Super Bowl, and it sends the data back. It sends the data back over HTTPS. So it's encrypted in transit. And then it lands on the servers where it is identified and looked at by health people over there and done all sorts of other weird stuff. And as that stuff starts to happen there, what the researchers found is that, yeah, they could still access all of the information over there. And so the fact is that the cameras themselves were not really end-to-end. It was encrypted in transit. It was not encrypted everywhere. And so apparently now the question is what could be done with all of the fecal matter that is pouring forth into the camera, and do we even want to think about that anymore? And I'm not really sure I want to. So if you are looking to get some Switch to Linux stuff, shop.switchtolinux.com, the spread shop, which is the supplier here, they say you can still order and get things by Christmas. If you want to, freak out your mother-in-law and get this alien in a tinfoil hat baby onesie, that's the way to go right there. Anyway, so there is all of that. If you want to help support the channel, that's a good way to do it. Shop.switchtolinux.com. All right, and now let me see if I can rustle up sadly, our only remaining kitty, and see if we can get the kitty some kitty treats. This is the first time we are doing the kitty treats without CJ. This is sad, actually. All right. So let's see. Once again, our YouTube crashed again. Okay, we need another super chat over there on the tubies. Grayson Peddle, $5 super chat. Thank you. Speaking of India earlier in the news, yes, I'm late. It would be nice to ban India from having U.S. toll-free numbers to prevent scamming. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a really good thing. Is I should have the option in my telecode to say ban everything that's not a legitimate phone number. Like ban the IP numbers, ban everything. Yeah, will I lose a lot? Sure. But it's going to stop a whole lot of scammers for sure. So yeah, I think that would be a good approach. Yeah, it looks like I lost a lot of comments. YouTube did that whole stopped working thing again. I'm not sure why. You know, it's been doing that. It did shut down twice on me during the stream. So, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. There you go. Still on YouTube. Yeah, we did have some cellular outage. I wonder if too. I know there's been some big solar flares lately. I'm wondering if that might have something to do with it, or if it's just internet here does weird things. Because it was doing weird stuff yesterday and again this morning. It just, some sites just would not load for a period of time. So, yeah, looks like we dropped a total of 10,296 frames, 5.9% of the stream. Oh, well. One more reason to install your most important file externally. Yep. Most scammers, viruses, malware target Windows and Mac. Yep. Had my dad switch to Linux Mint months ago. He does not care about Windows 11 and OneDrive. Yep, there you go. Shady in their name. Let's see. U.S. old dudes don't need all that fancy stuff. Back in my day, we didn't have all that fancy stuff. Microsoft would say they don't have the cash to pay victims, even though by market share they're the richest company on the planet. Yeah. Well, I mean, see, they can get the money back. They just have the ability. They actually have the ability to go after the originating countries when the law enforcement in our country can't. You know. I put my thumb drive in with a Linux install on my Windows computer just to see what it was, and Windows wanted to format it. Yep. Well, it's a Linux install disk. Format the thing quick. You have to extract the ISO using something like Rufus USB to set BIOS to allow it boot from USB. Spamming F11 or F12 should bring up the boot menu as well. Yeah, it depends on your computer. MSI boards is F11. I think HP is either F11 or F9. Dell is F10. I think Lenovo's Dell is F12. I think Lenovo's also F12. Let's see. Moving to PNY for RAM, yep. I have 64 gigs of DDR4 RAM for 100, yep. Yeah, that's why I don't like where we are going with pigeon-looking spy drones. I know, right? Boy, if I want to look at a bird that's flying, I want to look at the bird that's flying, not a drone that looks like a bird. It looks like they're actually cyborg birds. It looks like there actually are birds with Russian military implants. What in the world? Just because you purchase some digital goods does not mean you own it. Yeah, that's a problem. My great-nephew, $20 Steam gift cards is the only way he can buy games on his PC running Manjaro GNOME. There you go. Thankfully, he likes Pac-Man and Sonic. Yep. Seriously, smart means the same thing as cloud, not buying that smart crap. Yep. Whole fun of games is leveling up and earning a new set of armor. Yeah, there you go. All right, the ISO is up on SourceForge. Okay, I'll look for it when I can. A kid in a candy store with all these distros, yeah. Okay. So the announcement, folks wanting to set up matrix of dedicated supporter video. Awesome. Yeah, so there's a video there if you're interested in Matrix. Of course, we're over there on Matrix. You can go to the public directory and search for us at Switch to Linux. You'll find our Matrix channel over there. So Ivan has a video. I think that's on his channel, I believe, which is a video on how to get set up, which is totally awesome. Go check it out. All my computers are Linux Mint Cinnamon. I'm amazed at how much better things just work. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Call me a Lenovo fanboy when it comes to laptops, all-in-one PCs and mini desktops. Yeah, Lenovo's fine. Other than that whole they spied on you for a period of time a while back, but oh well. All right, got 15 watching over on Rumble. Let's see, anything else? Yep, rip the Van Panther, buddy, CJ. Yep. Yeah, it was kind of sad. It's the first time I've done the Feeding the Beast kitty cams without CJ there. All right, I don't know if Odyssey ever came back. Did Odyssey ever come back? Basically broken, refresh the page. You get the beginning of the stream with the greetings, even when you press the live button. Rip Odyssey. Odyssey trying to refresh page might solve it. Refresh page doesn't work. Yeah, so it looks like we like probably lost all connection. I think the way Odyssey works, if you lose all connection, it thinks the stream is over. Rumble, I think, probably has a longer timeout period before it's over. And YouTube doesn't stop until I actually push. I can actually stop the stream. I could stop the stream feed over on OBS, shut everything down, and if you forget to turn off the stream in YouTube, it just keeps streaming. It'll just stream dead air. And I'm not sure if it ever shuts itself off. I don't know. But anyway, I think we've gotten through all of the comments, so we are going to jump off for the night. Thank you guys all for watching. Stay tuned this week, and I'll decide this weekend what we're going to do with the news for next week. So anyway, we will talk to you guys next time.